Italian Futurism can be seen as one of the most politically charged and aggressive art movements of the 20th century. Starting in 1909 with the posting of Italian poet Marinetti's Futurist manifesto, the movement sought for the rejuvenation of Italy through radical progression. Yet it wasn't solely confined to the visual arts. A manifesto of futurist cooking existed that put forth the view, people think, dream, and act according to what they eat and drink. It banned the Italians from eating pasta because it caused a lack of passion. It banned the use of knives and forks. Perfumes were used to augment the flavors of meals, and certain meals had to be eaten in the presence of UV rays to activate vitamins. In 1914, Giacomo Balla created a manifesto on menswear, later entitled Anti-Neutral Clothing, in which he attempted to blend abstract forms and traditional suits. Yet the source of all these ideas can be found in Marinetti's original manifesto. We want to glorify war, the only cure for the world. Part of Marinetti's view of the future involved war, yet ironically a world war was the catalyst for the futurists' destruction. All of the artists celebrated it, but were either killed or traumatized, with the exception of Marinetti, who was awarded a Medal of Honor. Gino Severini didn't take part in the war, but got to see violence firsthand from his bedroom in Paris. His 1915 armoured train divides a scene of chaos and disorder into simpler geometric forms and facets of colour. The men on the train all point their guns in the same direction, light and shade continuing the path from brain to gun to bullet in a single line, finally resulting in an explosion of violent but beautiful disorder. In doing this, Severini could reorganize war in a futurist style, where all fighting was a symbol of unity and brotherhood. I personally see the steam at the top of the canvas as reminiscent of classical depictions of heaven, his violence propelling humanity upwards towards a greater civilization. This theme continues in Umberto Boccioni's 1910 City Risers, where the very act of work is celebrated. A flurry of sketchy brushstrokes bind the figures and animals together in a union of physical exertion. Indeed, even the title is in the present tense, making the scaffolding in the background seem to rise up from the flow of motion. The predominance of red in the work can be seen as a symbol of blood. In the same manner as Severini, Boccioni shows the vulnerable yet powerful nature of humankind. The most famous image of Italian Futurism, and potentially one of the most potent symbols of European fear in the 21st century, Luigi Russolo's Revolt in 1911, combines architectural elements in chaotic red chevrons that seem to sculpt the surrounding blue houses. Russolo contrasts the mundane, static nature of concrete with the progressive, angry nature of a population. The crowd seems to pierce society, creating their own path free from predefined constructs. The oblique red steps are overlaid on an image of the city rather than restricted by it, and thus the freedom of movement is celebrated. The liberation of the Italian people from the past was a fundamental aspect of the movement. We want to demolish museums, libraries, fight morality and feminism. A roaring motor car which seems to run on machine gun fire is more beautiful than the victory of Samothrace. The winged victory of Samothrace is a 2nd century Greek sculpture that stood outside the Louvre in Paris. The Louvre was a centre of academic art. Academic art praised classicism, and the statue therefore represented everything the Futurists were against. The winged victory of academia seemed to clash with the Futurists' electrically powered assault on conservatism. Electricity and motors were solely the creation of modern Western inventors, and were therefore free from retrospection. Something about their very functionality and inherent violence inspired the Futurists. Giacomo Balla was the movement's unofficial king of dynamism. His 1913 painting, Abstract Speed, The Car Has Passed, shows a minimal road scene distorted by a network of sweeping visceral strokes. These strokes were intended to show the power of human technology over nature, the wind itself bowing to the aerodynamic thrill of a motor car. The painting's title itself gives clues as to the wider societal meaning of the work. The car is moved out of shot, in effect too fast for traditional representational painting. The grey road diminishes into obscurity, showing the ability of technology to progress Italy as a society without constantly looking to the past for inspiration and guidance, while the strokes of air, reminiscent of cubist fragmentation, heavily warp this picture space, showing the intensity of change that technology has had on society already, but a change that is only truly conceivable by artists like the Futurists. Hugely influenced by Etty and Mary's sequential athletic photographs, Balla attempted to find beauty of dynamism in everyday life. His 1912 painting, Dynamism of a Dog on a Leash, is at once surface and symbol. The dog's legs blur with frenetic motion, while the ground is transformed into a never-ending series of lines to show speed. Balla was exploring both the idea of dynamism, while suggesting that a faster rate of change would have a greater impact on society. We can read the multiple limbs as simultaneity, each moving creating a parallel event. Balla envisaged a country free from a fixed point in time, where men were judged by their actions, each one forming together into a new image of Italian prosperity, a country racing towards a future just out of reach for most men. The destructive gestures of the anarchists, the beautiful ideas which kill, and scorn for women. Futurism has grown into both a symbol of pride and a source of shame for the Italian people. As an art movement, the likes of Cara and Balla explored brand new areas of innovation. While the Cubists had been concerned with space, the Impressionists concerned with light, and the Expressionists concerned with emotion, the Futurists saw themselves as a holistic revolution, bound by nationality but free to explore speed, war, and technology in a unique way. With the advent of Benito Mussolini in the early 1920s, the group became unpopular in the art world due to their association with fascist propaganda. The beautiful ideas which kill, normally associated with fascism. World War I also destroyed the group. Umberto Boccioni was killed in 1916, Luigi Russolo was badly wounded, and the surviving members continued down different artistic paths. The movement was finished, but it's not forgotten.